Hey Frank, just watched the video with the lick, and I saw your video the other day that had your version of the tune. Both are really good. Um, One thing, it was cool the way you were experimenting with the lick, but maybe when you practice it, remember to try to play it as accurately and clearly as possible in as many positions as you can. Just a practice tip, but it sounded good. Um, and you had a question about whether to play maybe finger style or hybrid picking. Yeah, man, that's a tough one. I have exclusively played hybrid picking, and it's you know many times I've kind of wished that I had gotten more into finger style because certainly it's a great tone, and I think you can do a lot of stuff that is just harder to do with hybrid picking. But I was just never super motivated to be like a great fingerstyle guitar player. Um, Joe played fingerstyle. So if you're super into Joe Pass, then eventually it's pretty hard to really sound that way. Hybrid picking, although guys like Lewis Stewart, who's a great Irish jazz guitar player, who really sounds a lot like Joe, or certainly comes he really comes out of the Joe Pass school, I think. Um, he played mostly hybrid picking. So, yeah, I guess I'm not really answering your question. Um, I do think for most people, when it comes to playing lines, it's pretty hard to execute at tempo um, without a pick. Even Joe played a lot of his stuff with a pick. He would keep the pick in his mouth. Um, Certainly by later in his career, he got pretty amazing at playing lines, finger style. So, yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know. I think I wish I had a good answer for you, but I do think in the end, these kind of decisions are so personal, and you sort of have to follow your gut. Maybe a good path is to keep experimenting with both as you see whatever feels comfortable, and don't have a lot of pressure to make a final decision. I mean, um, you know, it's kind of interesting. I was watching a video of my old teacher, Paul Ballenbach, um, and I took lessons with him in like the early 1990s, I guess. And he always had this one technique. I mean, his playing. I mean, he has amazing chops, and he played with that backward George Benson picking style. He's also a great fingerstyle player. Um, and then recently, he switched his technique. I mean, this guy is like one of the great players alive, and like he's probably 10 years older than me, I would guess, and already like super established, and he just decided like, yeah, I think it would be better to switch my picking to this other style. I mean, it's crazy. So you can just keep experimenting, and let your intuition guide you. So not a great answer. I don't think there's a good answer to that question. I wish I was, certain teachers would probably be more dogmatic. I just don't have it in me. Anyway, just keep on that road. So in terms of what to do next, yeah, I mean, you've got the tune now, you've got the melody. Now we haven't, what we on the previous lesson, in the previous tune, I'm sorry, I sort of walked you through. Actually, I'm going to pause this video and just make sure it's recording at the right volume and come back. Seemed okay. I'm back. Okay, so where was I? Yeah. So in the last tune, I really kind of tried to step by step take you through the process, which I'm happy to do again, and we might end up going there. But I don't also want to go too slow for you, so let me know about the speed and all that sort of stuff, because I don't want to bore you, but I don't want to give you so much that you feel like you're overwhelmed. I mean, part of the point of this coaching program is that to try to develop where you can have a lot of back and forth with me. And obviously, if I give you so much that you have to work for 2 weeks before you can make me a video, then that doesn't help either. So give me feedback as we need it. So, basically we're talking about playing lines and playing chords, and improvising through the form. So what I think you need to do is now that you know the head, take an A section and practice playing lines through it and practice playing chords and practice mixing them, and then make me a recording of you doing that on the A section. Now, if that's easy for you, you can do it on the B section too. If that's like a big challenge, then just do that, and we'll get to the B section next. And just let me know, so I'm not waiting for a video right before I get back to you. Like, yeah, this is what I'm going to focus on, and work, and it'll take me about this long. Even if it's, and the other thing is, if you have questions, right? If you're like, man, I don't know what chords to use for making up my for improvising chords through this section, or maybe you feel stuck on the lines, what kind of lines you should be using. Definitely, this kind of back and forth, I'm happy to kind of answer questions with that stuff. So that's the next goal is sort of what we did with the last tune, trying to become proficient at improvising with lines and chords intermingled through the form, keeping time even, and endurance, right? And that's something I tried to stress in the last lesson, on the last tune, was the idea that you have to be able to play the head all the way through and launch into your solo and keep playing all the way through, like as far as you can. So play the head every time, and when you send me a video, play the head every time, because that, one of your big questions, and we've talked about this, was like when you watched me playing was, well, how do you do that and keep it going? Well, part of it is practicing being able to play for a long time without losing your time or losing the form or losing your concentration. And you got to do it in the practice room. So don't just record the little section you're working on. Each time it's like, the test is, can you play the whole way through the melody without screwing it up, the timing or the form, and then also improvise without screwing it up, the timing and the form, right? And that's the practice. Now, when you're in the practice room, of course, you can isolate chunks, right? Like, you'd be like, shit, I get to this D minor, I don't know what to play. Well, then stop and be like, I'm going to figure out some things, and then come back and see how those things come out when the pressure is on, when you're playing through the time and the form. Okay, and then the lick. My suggestion is trying to take, when you're looking for linear stuff, try to use this lick as much as possible. That way you're immediately taking this lick that you're practicing and putting it into a tune. And, and I think in the last video, if you go back and watch it, I sort of demonstrated ideas about how to use the lick and what parts of the tune it would be good over. So go rewatch that lesson. So hit me back just to let me know if you have more questions, what your next goal is going to be, what you feel comfortable working on, all that stuff. Everything's going great, and I'll talk to you soon. All right, man.